Welcome to Perfectly Seasoned Cooking Bootcamp. I'm your personal chef, Greg Strahm. Today, I'm going to show you how to make a totally dairy-free version of mac and cheese. The cheese-like flavor comes from, of all things, nutritional yeast, and there is absolutely no dairy. As always, I have all of my ingredients in front of me, and the recipe will be able to be found on my website, thesilverchef.net, along with other videos and podcasts. So let's get started here. I have 2 cups of regular white potatoes. I like Yukon Gold. A cup of sweet potato, raw sweet potato. A medium sweet potato is about the size. A cup of diced carrot, and a cup of diced onions. Now the cheesy color comes from the combination of these 2 vegetables right here. I also have olive oil, garlic salt to taste, of course my nutritional yeast, and salt and pepper as always. I'm just going to put all of these together in a pot and they're going to boil. And once they have boiled, they want to be nice and fork tender, everything fork tender. I am going to put them in the blender, season them up, and pour them over pasta and bake them, and it's a great substitute for mac and cheese. I just have a few extra vegetables that I'm just going to go ahead and dice and add just so you get an idea of how easy this is. So I actually bought the carrot sticks already sliced in a carrot sticks. That makes it very easy. So fingers back. And you can just add that to the veg. Now the potatoes get a little dicey, no pun intended. I'm going to cut a flat edge so the potato doesn't rock around. You can cut that up also and add that. I'm going to make my slices about a 1/2 inch thick, and I'm going to take another flat edge. I'm going to cut that in half. Nice, easy dice. And the sweet potato is a little on the difficult side, so you cut this, make sure that everything is nice and flat. And you want to make sure that you don't cut your fingers, make sure they're all taken care of, and go through from the front to the back. And the same thing here. Make a nice dice. These are really a little difficult. While the vegetables are cooking, I'm going to get my casserole dish ready by buttering it and dusting it with panko crumbs. The panko gives it a nice crust on the top and there's a little crunch to it. So we're just going to dust some panko in here, and we're just going to, just like a pie pan, we're going to roll it all around on the sides, on the bottom, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to save this little bit of panko here to use to dust on the top. There's no point in wasting this. Now we're all set. The sweet potato is a lot harder of the vegetable, and that's the one that you're going to want to make sure is fork tender. Still very hard. That's very much getting softer, and that's all the same as the potato. So the sweet potato is going to take the longest, so that's how you gauge when the vegetables are finished, is on the sweet potato. Well, it's been about 15 minutes. Let's just check on the vegetables. Okay. That looks right. Let's just test. Oh, there, how about that? I got one of each. Tender, tender, and tender. I'm going to strain these, instead of pouring them in a strainer, and losing the water. I need 1.5 cups of the water. So I'm going to strain the vegetables into a blender. The starch in the potatoes is what makes the creamy texture. Now I'm going to take 1.5 cups of liquid out of there. That goes right inside the blender. Now I always take a little extra just in case I'm going to need it to thin it out. Now the rest of the liquid you can get rid of if you don't really need it any longer. So now I'm going to add garlic powder, and I like about a table or a teaspoon it's to taste, but I like about a teaspoon and maybe 1/2 teaspoon, 1.5 teaspoons. And you can adjust this at the end as well. And then you're going to add the yeast, 2/3 cup, and about 1/4 or 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And I'm going to adjust the salt and the pepper to taste. There's some pepper in there. And now we'll add some salt. And there again, don't add it all at once. Add it a little at a time, because you can always add more, but you can never take it out. I'm just going to whip this up. I see I'm going to need a little bit more liquid, so let me add my liquid. I'm just going to check for seasonings here. I want to make sure that I have enough salt. Just enough. Just enough. If I want, I'll add a little bit more later, but for right now, I'll check the seasoning again once I mix it in with the pasta. Sometimes you're going to need a little bit more seasoning there. So now I can get rid of the water. The pasta, which I've already boiled ahead of time, it's 1 pound. It's a 1 pound box of pasta. Let's break that up a little there. I put some oil in it so it wouldn't stick together. The other reason that I don't want to put too much salt in the sauce is because I usually boil my pasta in salt water. So you don't want to over salt. So now I'm just going to add this and stir it up. It looks a little bit runny right now, but when this bakes, and the pasta, which is a little undercooked, when it finishes cooking in the oven, it'll be perfect. And let's just put this right in the casserole dish. Isn't it amazing how much that looks just like mac and cheese? I got just a little bit extra there. Now, I am going to just check the seasoning one more time now that it's mixed in with the pasta. Just as I said, doesn't need any more salt whatsoever. Just Hungarian paprika. You can also use the smoked paprika, or you can use the Hungarian hot paprika if you want a little bit of a zing. And I'm going to add, these are the panko crumbs that I had left over from dusting. I'm going to sprinkle those on the top along with a little bit more. I don't think I'm going to really need too much more. But I like it nice and crusty. It makes a really crunchy top on it. And there we go. And into a 375-degree oven for probably 10 to 15 minutes max. You just want the panko to get a nice crust, brown crust on the top of it. The rest of it is, the pasta will finish cooking in the hot sauce. So you don't really need to bake this like regular macaroni and cheese for 30 to 40 minutes. This will be ready in about 15 to 20 minutes. Now I'm going to serve this with a side of a tomato confit, and you can get this at any good Italian grocery store. We have one here where we live, and this is one of our favorite things from there. It goes great with mac and cheese or mock and cheese. So let's just plate a little of this up. Well, it looks like mac and cheese, doesn't it? And a couple of the tomato confit. You could also use stewed tomatoes. Back in Ohio, when I was growing up, my mom used to serve stewed tomatoes with macaroni and cheese. One of my favorite memories of Friday afternoon. Let's just decorate this just a little there. And click on subscribe to follow me on YouTube and share. And also, don't be afraid to share the video. I'd appreciate it. I'm your personal chef, Greg Strahm, hoping that all your days will be perfectly seasoned.